quit my 9 to 5, had zero music industry connections, and have been able to fully support myself for almost 2 years, working 100% online, having a pretty small audience overall, and with investing very little of my own money. Now, how did I do it? NFTs. Totally joking, but this is the story of how I did it and how maybe you can too. Now, to explain the journey of how I got to here, I'm gonna need to go back in time a little bit. And some of this stuff might seem like it's unimportant in terms of making money, but I can assure you by the end of this video, it'll all come together. So like many of you who are maybe in college or working a 9 to 5, I really wasn't feeling fulfilled in life. I didn't really like my job. It was never something I had dreamed of doing. And so I got into actually making beats. And that's a long story, but to make it short, I had moved down to San Jose for work. I didn't really have any friends, and so I was relatively lonely and isolated, on top of working a job that I didn't really like. And something that I had always been interested in learning was how to produce music. So I had opened up FL Studios one day, started watching tutorials, and then months later, after having stopped, I kind of just decided, once I had moved back to Seattle, that I was going to figure out how to make beats. And so literally every single night after work and even on the weekends, I would pretty much spend all of my time trying to make something that sounded good. And after a couple months, I finally had something that was somewhat decent, which I'd probably think was trash now. But I remember I showed it to my girlfriend and she listened to it and she was like, wow, this is actually good. And for me, it really felt like my biggest accomplishment of like my entire life. This was like over like graduating like college, high school, etc. And to know that what I created had a positive effect on someone just made me fall in love with making music. And so for about a year and a half, I started a type beat YouTube channel, and I ended up making a few $1,000s doing that. But it was literally taking up all of my time. For anyone that has tried to sell beats online, you know, you have to make the beats, but then you have to export it in like 5 different ways, upload it, add the imagery, you know, select the price, etc. So it was very time consuming. I was spending a lot on advertisements, and so pretty much breaking even, maybe making a little bit of money. And it was kind of just taking the enjoyment out of making the music overall, as I was kind of just working towards something where I felt like in the end I wouldn't really be happy if I was just someone selling beats online. And so I ended up stopping. I quit for like a full year and barely made any beats. And I thought, yeah, I'm just gonna close this chapter on music. I guess it's just not for me. Then I remember I was at a park and I was listening to this one song and the sun was setting, and I was just like, I don't know if I can live with myself if I don't find a way to become a part of this, and to really just go for it and understand that not every moment is going to be just pure enjoyment. You're going to have to grind and work, as it's a dream for a lot of other people as well. And so after that day, I started making beats again, and eventually I got up the courage to create a YouTube channel to teach other people how to make beats, as well as just make production related content. What's going on, guys? Dylan here. Welcome to the channel, or welcome back to those of you that have been subscribed to me. I know it's been a while since I've like uploaded a beat or anything like that, but just wanted to make a quick video to kind of explain my plans for this channel for anyone that was subscribed to me previously or anyone that just randomly clicked on this video. And thank you first off for clicking on this video. I know there's millions of videos or billions, or I don't know how many videos there are. So I did this for I think probably like 8 months or so while I was working, which was even harder grind than selling beats online, honestly. I was trying to make like 2 to 3 videos a week and getting like 40 views a video. The other day I was looking back at a screenshot. I think in 24 hours I had gotten like 72 views, and I remember being so hyped about that. Finally, because I was starting to gain some traction, I eventually became a partner on YouTube, which started making relatively consistent income. When I say consistent, I mean like $50 a month, but you couldn't even pull it out until you reached like $100. So like every 2 months I get like $100. But to me, it was amazing because it was like, wow, I'm actually making progress on something that I want to do. And that was the first like kind of consistent money, aside from selling beats years ago, that I was actually getting paid. And I was realizing that certain videos would get a few views and then kind of just die out, but then other content is what's called evergreen, and it would essentially just kind of slowly gain views forever. And so I started shifting my focus to that a little bit more, and because of that, it helps me get more consistent income through YouTube. But it definitely wasn't enough to actually sustain myself and quit my job, which was kind of my goal all along. But regardless, it was exactly what I needed, because I was actually feeling like I was progressing. And for a lot of people, that's kind of the hardest part, because you'll go months and months without actually seeing any results. And because of that, a lot of people will quit before they see anything. So whatever you decide to do, just realize that it's not going to be overnight if it's going to be anything, that's special. A lot of people just see people that, go viral or blow up, and they think that's the only way to do it. But at least in my experience thus far, it's like a slow grind, like a real fucking grind to kind of get any results. But the money from YouTube, I knew unless I became like a massive YouTuber, just based on how I was getting paid, would not be enough to actually sustain my lifestyle and get me to the point where I could quit my job and kind of do this full time. And so the other thing that I started to get into was sound design, because I always thought it was really cool how people would create sounds, and I thought it was just kind of another extension of creativity as a producer, to kind of create things that you would use to build your beats and that other people could use as well, as it's kind of like you get to be a piece of other people's music, which I just thought was really cool. And so I started learning a little bit about that, and I started releasing drum kits, which I would use in my videos, and I would kind of just exclusively use those in my videos and in my personal life, because I always felt like a lot of the producers I had seen would make kits, they'd use it once in a video, and then I would never see them use it again. And that just made me feel like, oh, this is kind of just a money grab, where I wanted to make sure that anything I created, I used personally. And that really helped me to kind of elevate my sound design, as I knew, like, yeah, well, if I'm making this, I'm going to be using this to create my videos. I'm going to be using these kits to kind of build my channel, as nobody wants to watch videos of someone that's beats suck, etc. I dropped kits and I started making a little bit money from there as well. And then I had started to have like a few videos start to do actually like pretty well, and it seemed like things were starting to pick up for me a little bit. And at this point, I was probably making maybe 20% of the money to like cover all of my own personal bills. And because of that, because I saw things were changing a little bit, I was like, you know what? Literally since I started doing this YouTube channel, I've been saving up my money to hopefully quit and go for it. And I feel like if I had 100% of my time to kind of focus on this, that I could make enough money to sustain myself. And so I ended up quitting my job, I think like a month later or so after that. Definitely not bringing in even close to enough money to sustain myself, but I just felt like it was a time to kind of take that risk and make it happen. And then this is where things start to get very intense, because if you have a job, like a normal day job, as long as you show up and, do the work, it could even be like half-ass a lot of points, at the end of the week, they're gonna have to pay you. For what I was doing, I would go to work, spend hours and hours. I'd probably work like 80, 90 hours a week and make like $10, $20, $30, etc. But I noticed that my videos were starting to work better when I really focused in on like dialing in like different skills and stuff like that, and focusing more on that evergreen, like broader type content. And my sound design skills were getting better. And so what that allowed me to do was start to make more money, start to get more views and make more YouTube revenue. And then I started to get noticed by a few brands. And I've only done a few brand deals because, to be honest, most of them just kind of suck. And so I would never want to promote something that I personally wouldn't use. That's why I created my own kits and use them in my videos as well as in my personal music. What I kind of started to realize when I started looking at the data for my kits and whatnot was that the same people were buying all of my different kits. Like, people enjoyed using them and would continuously keep buying them. And from that, I've really been able to kind of sustain myself as a business without a massive following. And then eventually, about 2 or 3 months in, I was no longer losing money thankfully, was starting to break even. And since then, it's kind of gone up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. But I think that's pretty common for most entrepreneurs. You're gonna have some ups, some downs, some ups, some downs again. And you kind of just have to be able to roll with the punches. And once you get there, it's a little bit easier to believe in yourself in terms of that you can kind of get back to where you were before. Because when I was first doing it, I'd never done anything like this. And so it was really just me hoping that I would figure it out and figure out a way to kind of make it happen for myself. And I still have a very long way to go, but there are some things I want you to kind of think about and focus on, because I think they're the most helpful for me, and also some mistakes that I made that you should definitely avoid. So the first thing that I think is very important, and they're all equally as important, but the first thing is work hard, but also work smart. I think I spent way too much time being focused on just working hard. Like, you almost get participation points for working hard. Like,
shit, I worked fucking 11 hours today.
Just because I need to work really hard versus, oh, I could have worked 8 hours if I had just worked smarter. Second, if something is working, keep doing it. You can still sprinkle in the things that you want to do in throughout, but don't just throw away the things that are working for the things you want, because the things that are working can often lead people into the other things that you enjoy more, while you get that to a place that, you know, other people might enjoy as well. And then 3, and this is probably my biggest mistake, and it kind of bounces off that one, is don't overthink it. I spent literally for like the past year, I've spent so much time over analyzing things, overthinking things, and I've just lost tons of time doing it. Sometimes you just have to just go for it and just kind of see what happens. And then the last thing I'll say, and I might have touched on this a little bit earlier as well, if you look at my story as a whole, you'll notice that there's moments of, oh, things look like they're going well. Oh, nope, he gave up, he stopped doing it. Oh, things look like they're going well. Oh, not doing too well. And Quincy Jones said this in his book. He said, the valleys are like the hardest part. That's where you kind of learn the most about yourself, and the peaks will kind of take care of themselves. So if you're in the valley right now, just keep going for it. And I'm excited to kind of share, I guess, the peaks and the valleys on this channel with you guys as I try to make it as a music artist. As I know, I have a very long way to go, but I'm excited for the challenge. I'm not going to give up, and hopefully you don't as well. Peace.